"Who's that woman?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. And in that moment, the most dangerous man in the city realized he just found the only thing that could destroy him. Before we dive into this emotional journey, if you're enjoying these stories of unexpected love and redemption, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss a story that might just change how you see the world. Now, let's begin. The private room on the third floor of Aurelio's smelled like aged leather and expensive cologne, with just a trace of fear underneath. Lorenzo Moretti sat at the head of the table, his fingers steepled beneath his chin, dark eyes fixed on the man trembling across from him. "You borrowed 300,000, Lorenzo said quietly. His voice was velvet over steel, the kind of soft that made grown men weep. "That was 6 months ago, Vincent." Vincent Calabrese, a loan shark who'd gotten too ambitious, wiped sweat from his upper lip. "Mr. Moretti, I just need another week. The shipment got delayed, but I don't deal in excuses." Lorenzo's expression didn't change. It never did. Emotion was a liability he'd amputated years ago. "I deal in results." His second-in-command, Lorenzo, stood by the door, silent as a shadow. The room was soundproofed. Vincent knew this. Everyone knew this. "Please," Vincent whispered. "I have a family." Something flickered across Lorenzo's face, so brief it might have been imagined. "Then you should have thought of them before you stole from me." He nodded once. Lorenzo moved forward. Lorenzo stood, adjusting his cufflinks, Italian silk, black on black, and walked to the window overlooking the restaurant below. Aurelio's was his crown jewel, a 5-star establishment where politicians rubbed shoulders with celebrities, where deals were brokered over truffle risotto and 60-year-old scotch. No one who dined here knew that the elegant owner in the tailored suits had built his empire on blood and fear. He preferred it that way. Clean hands in public. Dirty work in private. Below, the main dining room glittered like a jewelry box, crystal chandeliers, white tablecloths, the soft murmur of wealth and satisfaction. Lorenzo watched it all with the detachment of a man observing an aquarium. Beautiful. Contained. Meaningless. He was 38 years old. He had everything. He felt nothing. Behind him, Vincent's pleading had stopped. Lorenzo didn't turn around. Across the city, in a neighborhood where streetlights flickered and hope came in small ration doses, Olivia Bennett was running late. Again. Come on, she muttered, her ancient Honda sputtering as she urged it through traffic. The dashboard clock glowed 6:47 p.m. Sunshine Daycare closed at 7, and they charged $1 per minute after that. $1 she didn't have. Her phone buzzed. She didn't need to look to know it was another overdue bill notification. Liv's hands tightened on the steering wheel. She was 29 years old. She had a 4-year-old daughter, 2 jobs, and exactly $800 in her bank account. The math of her life was brutal and simple, never enough hours, never enough money, never enough of her. But she had Mia. And Mia was everything. She pulled into the daycare lot at 6:56, practically sprinting inside. The director, Mrs. Chun, gave her that look, the one hovering between sympathy and judgment. "Mommy." Mia's voice was pure sunlight. She came running, pigtails bouncing, her frozen backpack nearly as big as she was. Liv scooped her up, breathing in the scent of crayons and baby shampoo. "Hey, baby girl. I'm sorry I'm late." "It's okay." Mia patted her cheek with one small hand. "Mrs. Chun, let me draw you a picture. It's us at the beach." They'd never been to the beach. Couldn't afford it. "It's beautiful," Liv whispered, throat tight. In the car, Mia chattered about her day, how Jason stole her red crayon but then said sorry, how they had goldfish crackers for snack, how tomorrow they were supposed to bring something for show and tell. Liv listened, exhausted and grateful, navigating toward their cramped apartment. But then Mia said something that stopped her heart. "Mommy? Tomorrow is my birthday." Oh God. She'd been so consumed with work, with bills, with surviving, she'd nearly forgotten. "I know, sweetheart," Liv said, forcing brightness into her voice. "What do you want to do?" Mia was quiet for a moment, and when Liv glanced in the rearview mirror, her daughter's expression was so solemn, so much older than 4. "Can we go somewhere fancy? Just this once." The request was so small, so reasonable, and it shattered something in Liv's chest. She made a decision. "Yes," she said firmly. "Yes, baby. We're going somewhere really fancy." Which is how, at 8:30 p.m. on a Tuesday night, Olivia Bennett found herself walking through the gold-trimmed doors of Aurelio's, her hand clasped around Mia's, feeling desperately out of place. She'd put on her one good dress, navy blue, simple, purchased for a job interview 2 years ago. Mia wore her Sunday best, a white dress with pink flowers, her eyes wide as saucers as she took in the chandeliers, the marble floors, the elegant people. "Mommy," she breathed. "It's like a palace." "It is, isn't it?" Liv smiled, even as anxiety gnawed at her stomach. She checked the menu online. One meal here would drain her carefully hoarded emergency fund. But watching Mia's face, this was worth it. The hostess, a willowy blonde in all black, gave them an appraising look. "Do you have a reservation?" "No, but we're fully booked." Her tone was polite ice. Liv felt Mia's hand tighten in hers. She wouldn't cry. She refused to cry in front of her daughter. Please, Liv said quietly. It's her birthday. Just a small table. We won't take long. Something in her voice must have registered, because the hostess's expression softened fractionally. Let me check. They waited. Mia pressed against her leg. Liv stroked her hair, silently promising everything would be okay, the way she always did, the way mothers lie with love. This way, the hostess finally said. They were led to a small table near the window, not prime real estate, but Mia didn't care. She gasped at the cloth napkins, the heavy silverware, the tiny candle flickering between them. Mommy, it's perfect. And in that moment, it was. From his window on the third floor, Lorenzo Moretti surveyed his domain. He did this sometimes, watched the diners below, ensured everything ran smoothly. It was a habit born of control, of a need to monitor every piece of his carefully constructed world. His eyes moved across the room with practiced efficiency, noting the mayor at table 6, the district attorney at table 12, all the puppets who danced on his strings without knowing the music came from him. And then he saw her. A woman in a navy dress, seated near the window. There was nothing particularly remarkable about her, not compared to the designer gowns and diamond jewelry scattered throughout the room. But something made him pause. The way she smiled at the little girl across from her. The way that smile reached her eyes, genuine, unguarded, full of a fierce tenderness that seemed to illuminate her entire face. The little girl said something, and the woman laughed, covering her mouth with her hand as if the joy was too much to contain. The gesture was unconscious, unpolished, real. Lorenzo couldn't look away. She was beautiful, he realized, not in the manufactured way of the women who usually caught his attention, but in a way that bypassed his defenses entirely. There was something in her posture, in the careful way she studied the menu, in the slight tension around her eyes that spoke of exhaustion and determination and a strength that came from survival rather than privilege. She looked like she'd been broken and put herself back together with nothing but willpower and love. Lorenzo appeared at his shoulder, holding a tablet with security reports. Lorenzo waved him away without looking. Boss. Lorenzo ventured. Lorenzo watched as the woman helped her daughter cut her pasta, watched as the little girl giggled, watched as the woman's expression softened into something so purely maternal it created an ache in his chest he'd forgotten was possible. When had he last felt anything? When had he last wanted to? The woman and her daughter finished their meal. He watched them share a single dessert, tiramisu, the little girl getting cream on her nose, the woman wiping it away with such gentleness Lorenzo felt something crack inside him. They stood to leave. The woman pulled out a wallet, counting cash carefully, leaving what looked like every dollar she had. No credit card. Cash counted twice, her shoulders straight with pride even as he saw the sacrifice. She took her daughter's hand, and together they walked toward the exit. Lorenzo moved without thinking, descending the private stairs, emerging into the main dining room just as they reached the door. Lorenzo followed, confused. Lorenzo stood there, this man who commanded an empire, who'd ordered deaths without flinching, who'd buried his capacity for feeling 6 feet under with his wife's body, stood there like a fool, watching a stranger walk away. Who's that woman? He asked softly. His voice was barely above a whisper, but Lorenzo heard the weight in it. The shift. The question that wasn't really a question so much as a turning point, a moment where one life ended and another began. I don't know, boss. Want me to find out? Lorenzo watched as they disappeared into the night, mother and daughter, silhouetted against the city lights, carrying something he'd lost and forgotten he needed. Yes, he said finally. Find out everything. Outside, as Liv buckled Mia into her car seat, her daughter said, "That was the best birthday ever, Mommy." Liv smiled, even as she calculated how she'd stretch what was left until payday. I'm glad, baby. Do you think we'll ever come back? Liv looked at the restaurant's golden facade, at the life happening inside that felt worlds away from hers. Maybe someday, she said softly. She had no idea that someday had already started. Have you ever made a sacrifice that felt impossible but necessary? What would you do for the ones you love? Share in the comments below. I'd love to hear your story. Lorenzo had the information by morning. Lorenzo sat in his office, all dark wood and floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, reading the thin file with an intensity usually reserved for enemy dossiers. Olivia Marie Bennett. Age 29. Address, a building in Riverside he recognized. Low income. High crime. Employment, server at Mel's Diner, 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. Night clerk at a convenience store, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. Education, 2 years of community college. Dropped out. Family, 1 daughter, Mia Rose Bennett, age 4. Father unknown. No, not unknown. Lorenzo's eyes narrowed. Father, Derek Hale. Left when child was 6 months old. No contact. No child support. Financial status, barely surviving. Lorenzo's jaw tightened. He kept reading, absorbing details that painted a picture of someone fighting a war she couldn't win. Medical bills from when Mia had pneumonia last winter. Eviction notice from 2 months ago, somehow resolved. A car on its last breath. And through it all, she'd never missed a rent payment, never failed to feed her child, never stopped showing up. Want me to keep digging? Lorenzo asked. No. Lorenzo closed the file, but couldn't stop seeing her face. That smile. The way she'd looked at her daughter like she was the entire universe. Where does she work first? Mel's Diner. Riverside and 4th. Lorenzo checked his watch. 10:47 a.m. He stood, reaching for his jacket. Boss. Lorenzo's eyebrows rose. You're going to a diner? I'm going to get coffee. You hate coffee. Lorenzo didn't respond. He was already moving. Mel's Diner was exactly what he expected. Vinyl booths with duct-taped cracks, a jukebox that probably hadn't worked since 1987, laminate countertops worn smooth by decades of elbows and spilled coffee. The air smelled like grease and burnt toast and the particular resignation of people too tired to dream. Lorenzo had been in palaces and penthouses. But he'd also been in places far worse than this, and he wore his tailored suit like armor as he slid into a corner booth. She didn't see him at first. Liv moved through the diner with efficient grace, balancing plates, refilling coffee, smiling at customers with a warmth that seemed impossible given the exhaustion evident in every line of her body. She wore a pink uniform that had seen better days, her dark hair pulled into a practical ponytail, minimal makeup, comfortable shoes. She was the most captivating thing he'd ever seen. When she finally reached his booth, her smile was automatic, professional, friendly, completely impersonal. Good morning. Can I start you with some? She stopped. Recognition flickered across her face. You, she said slowly. You were at Aurelio's last night. You own it, don't you? Lorenzo inclined his head slightly. Guilty. Something shifted in her expression, wariness replacing warmth. She'd recognized him not just as the owner but as what he was. People always did, eventually. There was something about him that screamed danger, no matter how expensive the suit. Coffee, he said simply. Sure. Her voice had cooled several degrees. She turned away. He came back the next day. And the next. Always the same booth. Always during her shift. He'd order coffee he didn't drink, food he barely touched, and he'd watch her work with a fascination that should have alarmed him. She was magnificent in her ordinary moments. The way she calmed a crying toddler while simultaneously taking an order. The way she slipped an extra biscuit onto an elderly man's plate when she thought no one was looking. The way she deflected a drunk patron's grab with practiced efficiency and no fear. On the 4th day, she confronted him. She appeared at his booth during a rare lull, coffee pot in hand, and fixed him with eyes that were equal parts exasperation and challenge. Okay, she said flatly. What are you doing? Having breakfast. He gestured to his untouched eggs. Bullshit. The profanity surprised him. Made him want to smile, though he didn't. You've been here 4 days straight. You don't eat anything. You just watch. It's creepy. I'm sorry if I've made you uncomfortable. That's not an answer. She set the coffee pot down with a sharp clink. Look, I don't know what this is, some kind of rich guy slumming it, or maybe you get off on watching poor people work, but I need this job. So if you're planning to complain about me to my boss, just do it already. There it was. That fire. That refusal to be diminished. I'm not here to get you fired, Lorenzo said quietly. Quite the opposite. Then what? He should have had an answer prepared. He'd negotiated billion-dollar deals, stared down cartel bosses, ordered executions with a single word. But faced with this exhausted woman in a stained uniform, he found himself uncharacteristically honest. I saw you at my restaurant. You and your daughter. And I. He paused, searching for words that wouldn't sound insane. I couldn't stop thinking about you. Her laugh was sharp, defensive. Right. Let me guess, you think because you have money, you can just decide you want something and take it. No. His voice was firm. I think you're remarkable. I think you're probably the strongest person in this room. And I think you deserve better than 16-hour days and a car that's one breakdown away from leaving you stranded. Liv's expression shifted, confusion, anger, and underneath it all, a flicker of something that might have been hope before she crushed it down. You don't know anything about me. I know you worked 2 jobs to support your daughter. I know you spent probably your last dollar to give her one nice meal. I know you've been dealt a shit hand and you're still fighting. He leaned forward slightly. I know courage when I see it. For a moment, she just stared at him. Then she shook her head. I don't need your pity. Good. I'm not offering it. Then what are you offering? The question hung between them, loaded with implications neither was ready to voice. Dinner, Lorenzo said finally. Just dinner. You and your daughter. A proper meal on me. No strings. There are always strings. Not with me. Not with you. She studied him for a long moment, and he felt weighed, measured, assessed in a way that was uncomfortably thorough. I don't even know your name, she said finally. Lorenzo. Lorenzo Moretti. Recognition flashed in her eyes. She'd heard the name, knew the rumors. Her shoulders tensed. The Lorenzo Moretti. Yes. People say you're dangerous. People are right. At least he was honest. Liv appreciated that, even as warning bells clanged in her head. So why would I let my daughter anywhere near you? Because I would never hurt a child. Because despite what I am, there are lines I don't cross. His dark eyes held hers with an intensity that made her breath catch. And because I think you see that. Otherwise, you would have walked away already. Damn him. He was right. One dinner, she said finally. But I pay for myself. Liv. Those are my terms. Take them or leave them. A smile ghosted across his face, genuine, transforming his features from austere to almost beautiful. Deal. She walked away, her heart hammering. What was she doing? This man was dangerous, connected, exactly the kind of complication she couldn't afford. But when she glanced back, he was still watching her with that same intense focus, and something in her chest tightened with a feeling she'd thought was dead. That evening, after her shift ended, Liv walked to her car and found an envelope tucked under the windshield wiper. Her stomach dropped. Parking ticket? No, the paper was too expensive, cream-colored and heavy. Inside was a card with a single sentence in elegant script. Thank you for taking a chance. D. And underneath, 5 $100 bills. Liv's hands shook. $500. She could catch up on electricity. Buy Mia new shoes. Fix the goddamn leak in the bathroom. She should give it back. She should run. Every instinct screamed that accepting anything from Lorenzo Moretti was stepping onto a path she couldn't see the end of. But Mia needed shoes. Liv carefully tucked the money into her purse, hating herself and grateful all at once. That night, as she put Mia to bed, her daughter asked, Mommy? Are we going back to the pretty restaurant? Maybe, baby. I liked it there. It felt safe. Mia yawned, already drifting toward sleep. Like nothing bad could happen. Liv stroked her hair, watching her daughter's face relax into dreams. Safe. What a concept. The dinner happened 3 days later. Lorenzo had arranged a private table, not at Aurelio's but somewhere smaller, quieter, where a little girl could be a little girl without judgment. He arrived early, nervous in a way he hadn't been in years. Bought flowers for Liv, simple daisies, nothing ostentatious. A stuffed bear for Mia, which felt absurd even as he did it. When they walked in, Liv's expression was carefully neutral, but Mia lit up like a firecracker. Mr. Lorenzo. She ran to him without hesitation, and he found himself crouching down to her level automatically. Hello, little one. You look very pretty. Mommy did my hair special. See. She showed off her braids, complete with ribbons. Beautiful, he said, and meant it. When he stood, Liv was watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Thank you for the money, she said quietly as they sat down. I shouldn't have accepted it. But you did. My daughter needed shoes. I know. How do you know? He could have lied. Should have lied. But something about her demanded truth. I had you investigated. Her eyes flashed. Excuse me. I needed to know who you were. That's, she glanced at Mia, who was happily coloring on the kids' menu, then lowered her voice to a furious whisper. That's a complete invasion of privacy. Yes, he agreed calmly. It was. And I'd apologize, except I'm not sorry. You're not, she started to stand. We're leaving. Mommy. Mia looked up, confused. Lorenzo spoke quickly. I know you have medical debt from when Mia was sick. I know your ex-boyfriend drained your savings and disappeared. I know you're one emergency away from losing everything. And I know you wake up every morning terrified and exhausted, and you do it anyway because that little girl means everything to you. He leaned forward. I know all of that, and I think you're extraordinary. Liv stood frozen, trembling with anger and something else, something that looked dangerously like tears. You have no right. You're absolutely correct. I don't. His voice was steady, earnest. But I'm offering one anyway. Let me help you. I don't need help from she stopped herself, aware of small ears. From a criminal. He finished for her. Say it. It's what I am. Then why would I let you near my daughter? Because, Lorenzo said softly, your daughter is the most precious thing in your world. And I understand that. I understand what it means to protect something innocent. And I swear to you, on everything I am, I would never let harm come to her. The weight of his words settled between them. Liv searched his face, looking for the lie, the angle, the trap. She found only intensity. Only truth. Slowly, she sat back down. One dinner, she said finally. And then we talk about boundaries. Agreed. Mia, oblivious to the tension, piped up, Can I get the spaghetti? You can get anything you want, sweetheart, Lorenzo said, and watched as both mother and daughter began, tentatively, to relax. The dinner was strange and wonderful. Mia chattered endlessly, asking Lorenzo questions with the fearless curiosity of a 4-year-old. What was his favorite color? Did he have a dog? Could he do magic tricks? He answered patiently, amazed at how easy it was to talk to her, how her innocence didn't grate but rather soothed something jagged inside him. And Liv watched it all, her defenses slowly cracking. When dessert arrived, chocolate cake for Mia, tiramisu for the adults, Mia suddenly said, "You look sad sometimes, Mr. Lorenzo." Why? The question punched through his carefully maintained composure. Liv started to intervene. Mia, that's not. It's okay, Lorenzo said quietly. He looked at this tiny perceptive child and decided honesty was the only acceptable response. I lost someone very important to me. Someone I loved very much. And it made me forget how to be happy. Mia considered this with grave seriousness. My mommy says when you're sad, you should hug someone. Do you need a hug? His throat tightened impossibly. Yes. I think I do. She scrambled out of her chair and wrapped her small arms around his neck. And Lorenzo Moretti, who'd ordered deaths, who'd built an empire on fear, who hadn't cried in 6 years, found himself holding a 4-year-old girl and feeling something inside him break open. When he looked up, Liv's eyes were wet too. Thank you, she mouthed silently. He didn't know if she was thanking him for the dinner or for showing Mia that even sad people could be kind. Maybe both. As they left the restaurant, Mia between them holding both their hands, Lorenzo realized something terrifying. He was already in love with them. Both of them. And he had absolutely no idea what to do about it. Later that night, after Liv had put Mia to bed, she stood at her apartment window, looking out at the city lights. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Thank you for tonight. You have no idea what it meant. She should delete it. Should block the number. Should protect herself and her daughter from a man whose world was made of violence and shadows. Instead, she typed back. You're welcome. But Lorenzo? If you ever investigate me again without permission, we're done. Understood. The reply came immediately. Understood. I promise. She stared at those 2 words for a long time. A promise from a dangerous man. Worth everything or nothing, depending on who he really was beneath the reputation. Liv didn't know which scared her more, that she was considering trusting him, or that part of her already did. Have you ever met someone who terrified and intrigued you at the same time? Someone who felt dangerous and safe all at once? Drop a comment. I'm curious about your experiences. The text messages started the next day. Lorenzo, good morning. I hope you slept well. Liv stared at her phone during her break at the diner, torn between deleting it and responding. She chose the middle ground, reading it, feeling something warm and dangerous flutter in her chest, then putting the phone away without answering. By noon, another message. Lorenzo, I'm not trying to pressure you. Just want you to know I'm thinking about you. And then, an hour later. Lorenzo, and Mia. Tell her the stuffed bear's name is Giuseppe. He's Italian. Despite herself, Liv smiled. Mia had been clutching that bear all morning, refusing to put it down even for breakfast. She typed and deleted 3 responses before finally settling on. Liv, she loves him. Thank you. The reply was instant. Lorenzo, I'm glad. Can I see you again? And there it was. The question she'd been dreading and anticipating in equal measure. Liv, I don't think that's a good idea. Lorenzo, why not? Liv, because you know why. A long pause. Then. Lorenzo, I'm not asking you to marry me, Liv. Just coffee. Conversation. Let me get to know you properly. Liv, you already investigated me. You probably know my blood type. Lorenzo, be positive. And that's not the same as knowing you. She should have been angry. Was angry. But underneath it was something else. The strange thrill of being seen, of being pursued by someone who could have anyone and had chosen her. Liv, I need time to think. Lorenzo, take all the time you need. I'm patient. But he wasn't patient. Not really. Over the next week, things started happening. Small things. Impossible things. The leak in Liv's bathroom was mysteriously fixed when she came home from work. The landlord claimed he'd sent someone, but Liv had been complaining about that leak for 3 months. Her car, which had been making a death rattle for weeks, was suddenly running smooth as silk. The mechanic she hadn't visited claimed she'd already paid for a full tune-up. Mia's daycare called to say someone had anonymously covered the next 3 months. Liv knew exactly who was responsible. She called him, furious. Stop it, she said the moment he answered. Good afternoon to you too. His voice was amused, infuriatingly calm. I mean it, Lorenzo. Stop. Whatever this is. The apartment, the car, the daycare. Stop. I don't know what you're talking about. Don't lie to me. A pause. Then quietly, I'm not trying to buy you, Liv. Then what are you trying to do? Give you room to breathe. Let you sleep one night without wondering which bill you're going to sacrifice to pay the others. His voice dropped lower, more intense. Is it so wrong to want to make your life easier? Yes. The word burst out of her. Yes, it is wrong when I didn't ask for it, when I don't know what you want in return, when. I don't want anything in return. Everyone wants something. Not from you. He sighed, and she heard genuine frustration. Liv, I have more money than I know what to do with. Spending a few $1,000s to make sure you and Mia are safe and comfortable? It's nothing to me. But it's everything to you. So why won't you let me? Because I don't know you. Because accepting help from you feels like I'm stepping into something I can't get out of. You can walk away anytime. I promise you that. Can I? Her voice was softer now, almost vulnerable. Because it doesn't feel like it. It feels like you're everywhere, in everything. Like you're wrapping yourself around my life and I don't know if I'm being protected or trapped. Silence stretched between them, heavy with things unsaid. Come to dinner with me, Lorenzo said finally. Alone. No Mia, just us. One evening. Let me prove to you that I'm not trying to trap you. That's exactly what someone trying to trap me would say. Then bring pepper spray. Bring a friend to check on you halfway through. Bring whatever makes you feel safe. His voice gentled. But give me a chance to show you who I am when I'm not trying to fix things. Just me. Just you. Talking. Liv closed her eyes, feeling herself wavering on an edge she couldn't quite see. One dinner, she said finally. But we split the check. Liv. Those are my terms. Again. She heard the smile in his voice. You're very stubborn. I have to be. I know. It's one of the things he stopped himself. One dinner. Your terms. After she hung up, Liv sat on her worn couch, head in her hands. What was she doing? This man was dangerous. Everyone knew it. He'd built his fortune on things she didn't want to think about, ran an empire that existed in shadows and fear. But when she'd seen him with Mia, when he'd let a 4-year-old hug him and looked like she'd handed him the world, that wasn't an act. That had been real. Mommy. Mia appeared in the doorway, Giuseppe clutched under one arm. Are you sad? No, baby. Just thinking. About Mr. Lorenzo? Liv's eyes widened. Why would you say that? Because you smile when you think about him. Mia climbed onto the couch, snuggling against her side. He's nice. I like him. It's not that simple, sweetheart. Why not? How do you explain to a 4-year-old that the world is complicated, that nice gestures can have dangerous motivations, that letting someone in means giving them the power to destroy you? You don't. You can't. Adults are weird, Liv said instead, kissing the top of her head. Yeah, Mia agreed solemnly. You really are. The dinner was set for Saturday night. Liv arranged for her neighbor, Mrs. Chun, no relation to the daycare director, to watch Mia. She spent an embarrassing amount of time choosing an outfit, not too fancy, not too casual, something that said I'm here but I'm still protected. She settled on black jeans and a soft gray sweater. Minimal jewelry. Hair down. Enough makeup to feel confident, but not like she was trying too hard. When Lorenzo picked her up, because of course he insisted on picking her up, she was ready to fight about it. But the look on his face when she opened the door stopped her. He stared at her like she was art. Like she was something precious and impossible. You're beautiful, he said simply. Don't. She grabbed her jacket. Let's just go. The restaurant was small, family-owned, tucked away in a neighborhood that straddled the line between her world and his. Not ostentatious, not intimidating. She appreciated that. They ordered. Made small talk. Circled each other with words, testing boundaries. Tell me about Mia's father, Lorenzo said finally. Liv's jaw tightened. What about him? You don't have to. But I want to understand. She was quiet for a long moment, debating. Then, his name was Derek. We met in college. I thought. She laughed bitterly. I thought he was my future. We were going to build something together. What happened? I got pregnant. Suddenly, building a future wasn't so appealing anymore. She traced the rim of her wine glass. He asked me to get rid of it. I refused. He said he'd stay, support us. I believed him. But he didn't. He stayed through the pregnancy. Even seemed excited sometimes. But when Mia was 6 months old and reality set in, the sleepless nights, the expenses, the way your whole life revolves around this tiny person, he couldn't handle it. Her voice hardened. He cleaned out our joint account and disappeared. Haven't heard from him since. Lorenzo's expression was carefully controlled, but his hands had curled into fists on the table. Where is he now? I don't know. Don't care. She met his eyes. Why? Going to have him killed. She meant it as a dark joke, but Lorenzo didn't laugh. Would you like me to? The question hung in the air, serious, genuine, terrifying. No, Liv said slowly. No, I wouldn't. He's not worth it. And more importantly, I don't need a man to fight my battles. I know you don't. But that doesn't mean you should have to fight them alone. Why do you care? The question burst out of her, raw and real. You don't know me. You don't owe me anything. So why this? Why the money, the help, the attention? Lorenzo was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was low, almost painful. 6 years ago, I was married. Her name was Isabella. She was pregnant, 7 months. We were going to name him Marco. He stared at his wine. There was an attack. Rival family. They bombed my car. I wasn't in it. She was. Liv's breath caught. Lorenzo. I buried them both. And I decided I would never love anything again, because love is weakness and weakness gets you killed. He finally looked at her, and his eyes were hollow. I've lived by that rule for 6 years. Built an empire on it. Made myself into something cold and untouchable. What changed? You. The word was simple, devastating. I saw you with your daughter, and I saw what I'd lost. What I'd chosen to lose. And I realized I was already dead, I just hadn't stopped breathing yet. Liv felt tears prick her eyes. So I'm what? Your redemption? Your second chance? No. He leaned forward, intense. You're not my anything. You're yourself, remarkable and strong and terrifying in your capacity to survive. But seeing you reminded me that I'm still human. Still capable of feeling something other than anger and emptiness. He paused. And that scares the hell out of me. Good, Liv said softly. Because you scare the hell out of me too. I know. I can't be your salvation, Lorenzo. I'm barely keeping my own head above water. I'm not asking you to save me. I'm just asking for a chance to be near something real again. His hand moved across the table, stopping just short of hers. And maybe if you let me, I can help keep you afloat while you're at it. Liv stared at his hand, strong, scarred, dangerous. Capable of terrible things. Also capable of holding a little girl gently. Of arranging flowers. Of asking instead of taking. She pulled her hand back. I need to think, she said. Okay. And you need to stop fixing things in my life without asking. I can't promise that. At her sharp look, he clarified, if I see you struggling and I can help, I'm going to help. That's who I am. But I'll try to ask first. That's all I'm asking. They finished dinner with lighter conversation, favorite books, childhood memories, the way Mia had decided she was going to be a Dr. Princess astronaut when she grew up. When he drove her home, he walked her to her door but didn't try to kiss her. Thank you for tonight, he said simply. Thank you for being honest. Liv. He waited until she looked at him. I meant what I said. You can walk away anytime. I won't chase you. Won't pressure you. If you decide this is too complicated, I'll respect that. She wanted to believe him. Almost did. Good night, Lorenzo. Good night. She watched from her window as he drove away, feeling something crack in her chest that felt dangerously like hope. Inside, Mrs. Chun reported that Mia had been an angel. After paying her, Liv checked on her daughter, asleep, clutching Giuseppe, peaceful. She sat on the edge of Mia's bed, watching her breathe. What am I supposed to do? She whispered to the darkness. He's dangerous. He's broken. He's everything we should stay away from. Mia stirred in her sleep, murmuring something that sounded like safe. And there it was. The impossible truth. Despite everything logic screamed at her, despite every warning her survival instincts threw up like flares, she felt safer with Lorenzo than she'd felt in years. What did that say about her? About him? About whatever this was becoming? Liv didn't have answers. Just questions that multiplied in the dark like doubts and possibilities she was too afraid to name. 3 days of careful distance. Liv went to work, came home, took care of Mia. Normal life. Safe life. Lorenzo texted once a day, nothing pushy, just small check-ins that she could ignore if she wanted. She never did ignore them, but she kept her responses brief, cordial, walls firmly in place. Lorenzo, how's Mia? Liv, good. She's teaching Giuseppe Italian words. I think she's making them up. Lorenzo, probably. Tell her grazie means thank you. That one's real. Liv, will do. She told herself she was being smart. Cautious. Protecting her daughter and herself from a situation that could only end badly. She told herself the ache in her chest every time she saw his name on her phone was indigestion, not longing. She was a terrible liar, even to herself. Wednesday night, she was working her late shift at the convenience store. The place was a fluorescent lit box on the corner of Riverside and 8th, bulletproof glass separating her from customers, security camera that hadn't worked in 2 years mounted uselessly in the corner. It was 11:47 p.m. 13 minutes until her break. The bell chimed as the door opened. 3 men walked in, late 20s, leather jackets, the kind of swagger that came from knowing you were trouble and liking it. Liv's stomach tightened, but she kept her face neutral, her hand near the panic button the owner had installed after the last robbery. They spread out, browsing with obvious disinterest. One kept glancing at her. Another positioned himself by the door. The third approached the counter. Pack of Marlboros, he said. Reds. Liv reached for them, keeping her movements slow and visible. Anything else? Yeah. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Empty the register. Her heart slammed against her ribs. I can't do that. Sure you can. Nice and easy. Nobody gets hurt. The other two moved closer, flanking her position. Liv's hand moved toward the panic button. Don't. The word was sharp. He pulled back his jacket, showing the gun tucked in his waistband. Don't be stupid, sweetheart. Just give us the money. She should have been terrified. Was terrified. But underneath it was a cold practical assessment. The register held maybe $300. Her life was worth more than that. The owner had insurance. She had a daughter who needed her. She opened the register. Good girl, he said, and she hated the condescension in his voice, hated how small it made her feel. Then the bell chimed again. Everyone froze. Lorenzo walked in, flanked by Lorenzo and another man she didn't recognize. Both large, both emanating the kind of quiet threat that made the three robbers suddenly look like children playing dress-up. But it was Lorenzo who commanded the space. He wore dark jeans and a black t-shirt, and somehow managed to look more dangerous in casual clothes than most men did in full tactical gear. His eyes swept the scene, catalogued the positions, the gun, Liv's pale face behind the glass, and something in his expression went absolutely arctic. Gentlemen, he said softly. I think you're in the wrong store. The lead robber's hand moved toward his gun. He didn't even finish the motion before Lorenzo had him slammed against the wall, arm twisted behind his back, the gun clattering to the floor. The other two tried to run. Didn't make it 3 steps. It was over in seconds, professional, efficient, terrifying. Liv stood frozen behind the counter, watching as Lorenzo's men secured the 3 would-be robbers with the practiced ease of people who'd done this 1,000 times before. Lorenzo approached the counter, his eyes never leaving her face. Are you all right? She nodded, not trusting her voice. Did they hurt you? No. I'm fine. The word stuck in her throat. The adrenaline that had kept her functional was crashing, and suddenly she was shaking, her legs threatening to give out. Lorenzo said quietly. Handle this. Police statements, whatever needs to happen. Make sure they understand these 3 won't be pressing charges. Boss. Now. Lorenzo nodded, already pulling out his phone. Lorenzo moved around the counter. Somehow there was a door she hadn't noticed, a way in, and suddenly he was beside her, his hands gentle on her shoulders. Liv, look at me. She did. His dark eyes were fierce, protective, furious. You're safe now. I promise. You're safe. What are you doing here? The question came out shaky. I have someone watching you. I know, he held up a hand at her expression. We'll fight about it later. Right now, I'm just grateful I had someone here. The shaking was getting worse. She pressed her hands against the counter, trying to steady herself. Hey. His voice softened. You're going into shock. It's okay. It's normal. Just breathe. I can't, my shift, I have to. You're done for tonight. I'm taking you home. I need this job. Your boss will understand. If he doesn't, I'll buy the fucking store. He cupped her face gently, making her focus. Liv. Stop being stubborn for 30 seconds and let me help you. She wanted to argue. Should argue. But her legs really were giving out now, and when she swayed, Lorenzo caught her effortlessly. I've got you, he murmured. I've got you. And despite everything, her independence, her walls, her very reasonable fears, she let him. He carried her to his car, some sleek black thing that probably cost more than she'd made in the last 5 years. She should have protested. Didn't. Mia, she said suddenly, panic spiking again. I need to get Mia. She's with Mrs. Chun, correct? At her nod, I'll call her. Explain there was an incident, you're fine, but you'll be a bit late. She can stay with Mia until you get there. You can't just. I can and I am. His voice was firm but gentle. Liv, you were almost robbed at gunpoint. You're allowed to not have everything handled for one night. The ridiculous thing was, she wanted to cry. Not from fear, that was fading, but from the sheer relief of someone else taking control, just for a moment. Why were you having me watched? She asked instead. Lorenzo started the car, his jaw tight. Because you work nights in a dangerous neighborhood. Because I knew something like this could happen. Because the thought of you being hurt makes me, he stopped, both hands on the steering wheel. I can't explain it, Liv. I just knew I needed to make sure you were safe. That's controlling. Yes. It's overstepping. Yes. I should be furious with you. You should. He glanced at her, and his eyes were raw. But right now, I'm too fucking grateful you're alive to care if you're angry. The drive was silent after that. But when they stopped at a red light, his hand found hers, and she didn't pull away. They didn't go to her apartment. Where are we going? She asked as they pulled up to a building in the financial district. All glass and steel and money. My place. Just for a bit. You need to settle before you see Mia. You don't want to scare her. He was right, damn him. She was still shaking, still pale. Mia would take one look at her and know something was wrong. His penthouse was exactly what she expected. Minimalist, expensive, somehow cold despite its beauty. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, furniture that looked uncomfortable, art that was probably worth more than her car. Sit, Lorenzo said, guiding her to the couch. I'll get you water. Or something stronger if you want. Water's fine. He returned moments later with water and a blanket, draping it around her shoulders like she was fragile. Maybe she was, right now. He sat beside her, close but not touching, giving her space even as his presence anchored her. Thank you, she said finally. For tonight. For being there. You don't have to thank me. Yes, I do. Those men had a gun, Lorenzo. If you hadn't, her voice broke. I keep thinking about Mia, what would have happened to her if... Don't. He turned to her, his expression fierce. Don't do that to yourself. You're safe. Mia's safe. That's what matters. But I won't always be. That's the thing, I work there 5 nights a week. What happens next time? There won't be a next time. You're quitting. I can't just quit. Yes, you can. You'll work for me. At Aurelio's. Better pay, safer environment, hours that don't destroy you. He held up a hand at her protest. Before you argue, this isn't charity. I need good people. You're good people. It's a job offer, Liv. A real one. You can turn it down if you want, but at least consider it. She wanted to refuse on principle. But the truth was, she'd hated that convenience store job from day one. The isolation, the danger, the soul-crushing boredom punctuated by moments of terror. What would I do? At Aurelio's. Whatever you want. Hostess, server, I'd train you for management if you're interested. His eyes were steady on hers. I'm not trying to control your life. I'm trying to give you options you didn't have before. Why? Because you deserve them. Because Mia deserves a mother who doesn't risk her life for minimum wage. He paused. Because the thought of you being in danger makes me crazy, and I know that's my problem, not yours, but I can't seem to help it. The honesty in his voice undid something in her. Okay, she said softly. Okay. I'll take the job. But on one condition, I earn it. I work hard, I prove I deserve to be there. No special treatment just because we're, whatever we are. Deal. A small smile touched his lips. Though I should warn you, I'm a demanding boss. I've handled worse. They fell silent, but it was comfortable now. Liv sipped her water, feeling her heartbeat gradually slow, the adrenaline finally ebbing. Can I ask you something? She said. Anything. Earlier, you said you have people watching me. How many? Does it matter? Lorenzo. He sighed. 2. They rotate shifts. They're discreet, you'd never know they were there. They don't interfere, just observe and report. That's... She searched for the right word. Couldn't find one that encompassed how invasive yet protected it made her feel. I don't know what that is. Necessary, he said firmly. After tonight, I'm glad I did it. After tonight, I am too, she admitted. But it's still weird. I'm a weird guy. Dangerous guy. That too. He looked at her, and something vulnerable crept into his expression. Does it bother you? What I am? Liv considered the question seriously. It should. It really should. But... She traced the edge of the blanket. I keep thinking about how you were with Mia. How you looked at her like she was something precious. How gentle you were. She met his eyes. Bad men aren't gentle with children. Some bad men are very good at pretending. Are you pretending? No. The word was firm, certain. With you and Mia, I'm more real than I've been in years. The weight of that confession settled between them. I don't know what we're doing, Liv said softly. I don't know if this is smart or safe or right. But I know I feel something when I'm near you. Something I haven't felt in a long time. What's that? Hope. The word was barely a whisper. Terrifying, impossible hope. Lorenzo's hand moved to her face, his thumb brushing her cheekbone with a tenderness that made her breath catch. I feel it too, he said. And it scares the hell out of me. They sat there, inches apart, balanced on the edge of something neither was quite ready to name. Then Liv's phone rang, Mrs. Chun, checking in. The moment broke. Reality reasserted itself. I need to get Mia, Liv said. I'll drive you. You don't have to. Liv. He smiled slightly. I'm driving you. Stop fighting me on everything. If I stop fighting you, you'll steamroll me. Probably. His smile widened. But I promise to be a benevolent dictator. Despite everything, she laughed. They picked up Mia together. The little girl was half asleep, but she brightened when she saw Lorenzo. Mr. Lorenzo. She reached for him automatically, and he took her, settling her against his shoulder with the ease of someone who'd done this before. With his own child, Liv realized. The one he'd lost. Her heart cracked watching them. In the car, Mia fell back asleep, tucked between them in the back seat while Lorenzo drove. Lorenzo's hand found Liv's in the darkness, and she let herself hold on. When they reached her apartment, Lorenzo carried Mia up the stairs. Liv unlocked the door, and he laid her daughter gently on her bed, pulling the covers up with such care it made Liv want to cry. At the door, he turned to her. "You're safe here. I have someone outside, just in case." Lorenzo. "Not negotiable. Not tonight. Let me have this, knowing you're protected." She was too tired to argue. "Okay. Just tonight. Thank you." He hesitated, then leaned down and pressed a kiss to her forehead, chaste, gentle, loaded with everything he wasn't saying. "Good night, Liv." "Good night." After he left, she checked on Mia one more time, then collapsed on her own bed, still wearing her work clothes. The last thought she had before sleep claimed her. "I'm falling for him. God help me, I'm falling for a man who lives in shadows. And the scariest part? I don't think I want to stop." The job at Aurelio's started the following Monday. Lorenzo hadn't lied, he was a demanding boss. But he was fair, and the work was infinitely better than her previous jobs. Better hours meant she could actually have dinner with Mia. Better pay meant she stopped waking at 3 a.m. calculating which bill she could skip. But more than that, she got to see him. Every day, in small moments that accumulated like interest, a smile across the dining room, his hand briefly touching the small of her back as he passed, stolen conversations in the kitchen when no one was looking. It was dangerous, this growing thing between them. Everyone could see it. The staff whispered. But Lorenzo didn't care, and gradually, neither did she. 2 weeks in, on a quiet Tuesday afternoon, he found her in the office doing inventory. "Come with me," he said. "I'm working." "You're taking your break. Come on." He led her upstairs to the private room where they'd never been together, his inner sanctum. She'd heard about this place from the other servers, where he conducted his real business, the dark dealings that kept his empire running. But today, it was just a room. And in it, a table set for two. "Lunch," he said simply. "You've been here 2 weeks, and we haven't eaten together once. I'm correcting that. Lorenzo, people will talk. Let them." He pulled out a chair for her. "Sit. Please." The food was simple, pasta primavera, fresh bread, wine she probably couldn't pronounce. They ate in comfortable silence for a few minutes before he spoke. "Tell me about your family," he said. "Your parents. Growing up. I want to know everything." Liv set down her fork, surprised by the request. "There's not much to tell. My dad left when I was 3. Don't remember him. My mom raised me alone, worked 2 jobs, like I do now. Did now," she corrected. "She passed away when I was 22. Cancer." "I'm sorry." "Me too." She never got to meet Mia. She would have loved her so much. Liv's throat tightened. "Sometimes I talk to her. Tell her about Mia's day. Probably sounds crazy." "Not crazy. Human." He reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "What was she like?" "Tough. Funny when she had the energy. She taught me that you do what you have to do to survive, but you never let it make you mean." Liv smiled sadly. "She would have had opinions about you. I imagine they wouldn't be flattering. Actually, I think she might have liked you. She always said actions matter more than words. And you." She looked at him. "You act. Maybe not always legally, but you act." Lorenzo was quiet for a moment. "My father was in this business too. 3rd generation. He tried to keep me out of it, wanted me to go to college, be legitimate. I did go, studied business at Columbia. But after he died, the family needed someone strong. I was 24. Did you want it?" "I thought I did. Power, respect, fear, it felt like armor. Like nothing could touch me." He stared at his wine. "Then I met Isabella at a fundraiser. She was a teacher, completely outside this world. She knew what I was, but she saw something else too. Something worth saving." Liv's chest tightened. She wasn't sure she wanted to hear this, but she needed to. "We got married 6 months later. My men thought I was crazy, too fast, too reckless. But with her, everything made sense." His voice grew softer, more distant. "She got pregnant almost immediately. We were going to name him Marco, after my grandfather. She used to talk to him every night, tell him about the world he was coming into." "What happened?" Liv asked gently. Lorenzo's jaw tightened. "Rival family, the Castellanos, they'd been pushing into our territory. I pushed back. Hard. Too hard, maybe." He paused. "They sent a message. Planted a bomb in my car. I had a last-minute meeting that morning, sent Isabella to get something from the car instead." Liv's hand flew to her mouth. Oh God, Lorenzo. I heard the explosion from inside. Ran out. The car was, his voice broke. There was nothing left. Nothing I could save. She died instantly. So did Marco. Tears streamed down Liv's face. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I blamed myself. Still do. If I'd been less aggressive, if I'd just gotten in the car myself, he shook his head. The ifs will kill you if you let them. Is that why you shut down? Why you buried yourself in this life? Yes. I hunted down everyone involved, the Castellanos, anyone who helped them, anyone who knew. It took 18 months. When it was over, I realized I'd become something Isabella would have hated. But I couldn't stop. Didn't want to. Being cold was easier than feeling. Liv stood and moved to his side of the table. He looked up at her, his eyes haunted, and she did the only thing she could think of, wrapped her arms around him. He buried his face against her stomach, and she felt his shoulders shake with silent grief that was 6 years old and still fresh. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm sorry I brought this into your life. You deserve someone whole, not someone broken. We're all broken, Liv said softly, running her fingers through his hair. The question is whether we can be broken together and somehow make something beautiful anyway. He pulled back, looking up at her with wonder. How are you real? I ask myself the same thing about you. And then he was standing, and his hands were cupping her face, and he was kissing her, soft and desperate and full of 6 years of loneliness finally finding harbor. Liv kissed him back, pouring into it all the fear and hope and impossible tenderness she'd been carrying. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, he pressed his forehead to hers. I'm falling in love with you, he said. I fought it, told myself it was too soon, too dangerous. But I can't stop it. Don't want to stop it. Lorenzo. You don't have to say it back. I just needed you to know. But the words were already rising in her throat, terrifying and true. I'm falling too, she whispered. And it scares me to death. Good. He smiled slightly. We can be terrified together. That evening, Lorenzo insisted on driving her home. In the car, Liv gathered her courage. I want to tell you about Derek. Properly. Lorenzo glanced at her. You don't have to. I know. But you told me about Isabella. It's only fair. She took a breath, organizing thoughts she tried not to think about for 4 years. We met in college. I was 19, he was 22. He was charming, ambitious, studying finance. I was getting my degree in early childhood education. She smiled bitterly. I thought we were building something. Thought he loved me. When did you know he didn't? When I told him I was pregnant. His whole face just shut down. He asked if I was sure, then asked what I was going to do about it. Her hands clenched in her lap. Like Mia was a problem to be solved, not a life to be celebrated. But you kept her. Of course I did. She was mine. Is mine. The moment I saw her on that ultrasound, I knew I'd do anything to protect her. Liv's voice hardened. Derek said he'd stay. Promised we'd figure it out. I believed him because I needed to. What changed? Reality. Mia was colicky, cried for hours every night. I was exhausted, overwhelmed. Derek started staying out later, working longer hours. Or so he said. She laughed without humor. Found out later he was sleeping with his boss's daughter. Lorenzo's hands tightened on the steering wheel. When Mia was 6 months old, I came home from the grocery store and he was gone. Cleaned out our joint account, $12,000 I'd saved for emergencies. Left a note saying he couldn't do this anymore, that I'd trapped him with a baby he never wanted. Jesus Christ. I tried to find him. For child support, for some kind of accountability. He disappeared completely, new city, new job, new life. Like we never existed. Her voice wavered. That's when I learned the most painful lesson. You can't make someone love you. Can't make them stay. Can only save yourself and protect what matters. They'd reached her apartment. Lorenzo put the car in park but didn't move. He's an idiot, he said finally. A coward and an idiot. Mia is extraordinary. You're extraordinary. He threw away everything real for nothing. I used to wonder what was wrong with me. Why I wasn't enough to make him stay. Nothing is wrong with you. Everything was wrong with him. Lorenzo turned to her, his expression fierce. Liv, look at me. You are enough. More than enough. You're remarkable. And any man who can't see that deserves exactly the empty life he chose. Tears spilled down her cheeks. How do you do that? Make me believe things I stopped believing years ago. Because they're true. And because, he cupped her face gently. Because I see you. Really see you. Not what you can do for me or how you fit into my life, but you. The way you love your daughter. The way you work yourself to exhaustion without complaining. The way you're terrified but brave anyway. I'm not brave. You're the bravest person I know. She kissed him then, salt and sweetness and the relief of being seen, truly seen, for the first time in forever. Upstairs, Mrs. Chun reported that Mia had been asking for both of them. After she left, Liv found her daughter in her bedroom, surrounded by stuffed animals. "Mommy." Mia launched herself into her arms. "You're home." "I'm home, baby. Were you good for Mrs. Chun?" "So good. She said I could have extra cookies." Mia pulled back, studying her face with unsettling perceptiveness. "You look happy. Is it because of Mr. Lorenzo?" Liv felt her cheeks heat. "Maybe." "Good. He makes you smile more." Mia settled back against her pillows, Giuseppe tucked under her arm. "Mommy? Is Mr. Lorenzo going to be my daddy?" The question hit like a physical blow. Liv struggled to find words that were honest but not overwhelming. I don't know, sweetheart. It's complicated. Grown-up complicated or real complicated?" "Despite everything," Liv laughed. "Both." "Well, I hope he is. He's nice. And you like him. And he needs us." "What makes you say that?" Mia's expression was solemn, far too old for a 4-year-old. "Because he looks at us the way I look at Giuseppe. Like we're the most special thing ever. Like losing us would break his heart." Children saw too much. Understood things adults spent years trying to articulate. "You're very wise, little one." "I know." Mia yawned. "Can we have pancakes tomorrow?" "Sure, baby." "With Mr. Lorenzo?" Liv hesitated. "Then, if he's free, yes." "He will be. He's always free for us." And somehow, impossibly, her 4-year-old was right. Later that night, after Mia was asleep, Liv stood at her window looking at the city. Her phone buzzed. "Lorenzo, thank you for today. For trusting me with your story. For letting me into your life, even though I'm probably the last person who should be there. Liv, thank you for being honest about Isabella. I know that wasn't easy. Lorenzo, nothing about you is easy. But everything is worth it." A pause, then another message. "Lorenzo, Mia asked me something today, when you were in the kitchen. She asked if I loved her mommy." Liv's breath caught. "Liv, what did you say?" "Lorenzo, I told her the truth. That I'm falling in love with both of you. That you're the best thing that's happened to me in 6 years. That I'm scared I'll mess it up, but I'm going to try my absolute hardest not to." "Liv, what did she say?" "Lorenzo, she said good. We love you too." Liv's hands shook as she read the message. Mia had said we. Spoken for both of them. And the terrifying thing was, she wasn't wrong. "Liv, she's right. We do." The response came immediately. "Lorenzo, I promise I will spend every day trying to deserve that." "Liv, just be you. That's enough." She set down her phone, heart hammering. This was real now. Not hypothetical, not cautious exploration. Real, declared, impossible love between a single mother and a dangerous man. It should have terrified her. Instead, it felt like finally coming home. That night, Liv dreamed of the future, not the careful, controlled one she'd planned, but something messier and more beautiful. A future where broken pieces could fit together in unexpected ways. Where love didn't erase the past but transformed it into something bearable. She woke with Mia snuggled against her, Giuseppe between them, and her phone showing a goodnight text from Lorenzo that simply said, "Thank you for existing." For the first time in years, Liv let herself believe that maybe, just maybe, everything would be okay. Have you ever been surprised by who you fell for? Someone completely different from what you imagined? Someone who scared and healed you at the same time? I'd love to hear your story. Drop it in the comments. The next 3 weeks felt like living in a dream. Lorenzo became part of their routine so seamlessly it was hard to remember life before him. Pancake breakfasts on Saturday mornings, him teaching Mia to count in Italian while Liv pretended not to watch from the kitchen. Sunday afternoons at the park, where he pushed Mia on the swings until she shrieked with laughter. Quiet evenings after she was asleep, when he and Liv would sit on her worn couch and just talk, about everything and nothing, building a foundation one conversation at a time. He was careful with them. Respectful of Liv's boundaries, gentle with Mia's trust. But underneath the caution was something fierce and unwavering, commitment. He'd chosen them, and he wasn't letting go. "You're getting attached," Lorenzo warned him one afternoon at Aurelio's. "Boss, I've known you 15 years. I've never seen you like this." "Like what?" "Happy." Lorenzo said it like an accusation. "Vulnerable. That's dangerous in our world." "I know. Do you? Because the Castellanos may be gone, but there are always threats. And now you have 2 people who can be used against you." Lorenzo's expression went cold. "Which is why I have 8 men on rotation watching them. Why I've upgraded security on Liv's building. Why every enemy I have knows that touching them means death, slow, painful death. You're declaring them your family." "They are my family." Lorenzo was quiet for a moment. "Then protect them properly. Make it official. Legal. The world needs to know they're under your protection." I'm working on it. And he was. On a Tuesday evening, Lorenzo took Liv to dinner, alone, with one of his most trusted men watching Mia. The restaurant was small, intimate, the kind of place where conversations were whispered and candles cast shadows that felt like privacy. I have something for you, Lorenzo said after they'd ordered. He slid an envelope across the table. Liv opened it, confused, then froze. It was a deed. To her apartment building. What is this? You own your building now. Well, technically a trust owns it, but you control the trust. His voice was matter of fact. No more rent. No more landlord. Your home is secure. Lorenzo, I can't, this is too much. It's done. Non-negotiable. He leaned forward. Liv, I know you value independence. I know you want to earn what you have. But this. He gestured to the envelope. This is me making sure you and Mia always have a home. No matter what happens between us. Even if you decide tomorrow you never want to see me again, that building is yours. Tears welled in her eyes. Why? Because I love you. Because I can. Because the thought of you worrying about rent makes me crazy. His hand found hers. Let me do this. Please. She wanted to argue. The independent part of her that had survived everything screamed to refuse. But the mother in her, the part that had lost sleep over eviction notices and heating bills, that part won. Thank you, she whispered. You have no idea what this means. I think I do. They ate slowly, savoring not just the food but the moment, the sense that life was finally, impossibly, getting better. Mia asked me something yesterday, Liv said. She wanted to know if you were going to live with us. Lorenzo's expression became carefully neutral. What did you tell her? That I didn't know. That we hadn't talked about it. She met his eyes. Should we talk about it? Do you want me to? I'm asking what you want. He was quiet for a long moment, choosing words carefully. I want to wake up next to you. I want to make Mia breakfast and drive her to school. I want to come home to you at the end of terrible days and have that be enough to make them bearable. He paused. But I also know my world is dangerous. Having me in your home, officially, makes you bigger targets. We're already targets, aren't we? Yes. But there's a difference between being someone I care about and being my family. One is a complication. The other is a weapon. Liv absorbed this, understanding the weight of what he was saying. So what do we do? We're careful. Smart. I increase security. I keep you safe. His grip on her hand tightened. And when I've made things as secure as possible, when I'm certain I can protect you both, then I'm moving in. If you'll have me. I'll have you, she said softly. We both will. The smile that broke across his face was pure joy, unguarded, transforming him from dangerous to devastating. There's something else, he said. I want to adopt Mia. Legally. Make her mine in every way that matters. Liv's breath caught. Lorenzo. I know it's fast. I know she has a biological father, even if he's worthless. But I want to be her father in every way that counts. I want to give her my name, my protection, everything I have. His voice roughened with emotion. I want her to know she's chosen, wanted, loved unconditionally. That she'll never be abandoned again. Tears streamed freely down Liv's face now. She already loves you like a father. And I love her like a daughter. Let me make it real. Yes, Liv whispered. God, yes. She'd be so happy. Not as happy as I'll be. They told Mia the next morning over pancakes. Liv had worried about how to explain it in 4-year-old terms, but Lorenzo handled it perfectly. He got down on one knee beside Mia's chair, taking her small hands in his. Mia, I want to ask you something very important. Her eyes went wide. Okay. Your mommy and I have been talking, and I want to be your daddy. For real, officially. Would that be okay with you? Mia's face scrunched up in thought. Like, my actual daddy? Not just a friend daddy. Your actual daddy. I'd adopt you, which means you'd be mine forever. You could even have my last name if you wanted, Mia Bennett Moretti. That sounds fancy. You're a fancy girl. She giggled, then grew serious again. But what about my real daddy? The one who left. Liv and Lorenzo exchanged glances. This was the hard part. That man, Lorenzo said carefully, gave you life. And I'll always be grateful for that, because it means you exist. But being a daddy is more than biology. It's showing up every day. It's loving you when you're happy and sad and everything in between. It's choosing you over and over. Did he choose me? No, sweetheart, Liv said gently. He didn't. And that's his loss, his failure. Not yours. Never yours. But you'd choose me? Mia asked Lorenzo. Every day. Every single day. Forever. Mia launched herself at him, nearly knocking him over. Then yes. Yes, I want you to be my daddy. Lorenzo caught her, holding tight, his eyes squeezed shut against tears. Liv watched them, her heart so full it physically hurt. Good pain, healing pain, the kind that came from breaking open to let love in. "We're a family now," Mia declared, pulling back to look at both of them. "A real family." "We are," Lorenzo agreed. "You, me, and your mommy. Always. And Giuseppe." "And Giuseppe," he confirmed seriously. "He's an important part of the family too." Mia's laugh was pure sunshine. That weekend, Lorenzo took them shopping. "For what?" Liv asked as they pulled up to a high-end children's boutique. "Mia needs clothes." "She has clothes." "She has some clothes. Now she's getting more. Better ones." He unbuckled Mia from her car seat. "Humor me. Let me spoil my daughter." "My daughter." The words made Liv's chest tight with joy. Inside, Lorenzo was hilariously out of his depth. This man who commanded empires reduced to confusion by tiny dress sizes and cartoon characters he didn't recognize. "Is Elsa still cool?" he asked Liv seriously. "Or is there a new princess?" "Elsa is eternal," Liv assured him, laughing. Mia ran from rack to rack, pulling out everything sparkly. Lorenzo approved it all, ignoring Liv's protests about practicality. "She's 4, he said. "Practicality can wait. Let her be a princess." By the end, they had enough clothes to fill Mia's closet twice over. Lorenzo also snuck in new shoes, a winter coat that was too expensive to contemplate, and somehow 3 more stuffed animals. "You're going to spoil her," Liv warned. "That's the plan." "She'll get bratty." "No, she won't. Because you won't let her." He pulled Liv close, pressing a kiss to her temple. "You'll keep her grounded and good. I'll just make sure she knows she's treasured." "We're both treasured," Liv said softly. "You know that, right? You give so much, but we see you too. We treasure you right back." His arms tightened around her. "I don't deserve you." "Yes, you do. Maybe for the first time in 6 years, you finally do." The adoption paperwork was filed that Monday. Lorenzo had lawyers, expensive ones who made things happen fast. Derek would have to be notified, given a chance to object. But Lorenzo's lawyers were confident. A father who'd abandoned his child, provided no support, made no contact in nearly 4 years. He had no legal standing. "It'll take a few months," the lawyer explained. "But it's a formality at this point." Still, the waiting was hard. Every day, Mia asked if she was a Moretti yet. Every day, Lorenzo had to explain they were still waiting for the judge. But he made sure she knew she was already his, in every way that mattered. He took her to her first day of pre-K, holding her hand and crouching down to give her a pep talk. "You're brilliant and kind and brave. Anyone who doesn't see that isn't worth your time. Got it?" "Got it, Daddy." The word made him freeze. She'd been trying it out over the past week, testing how it felt. But this was the first time she'd said it so naturally, like it had always been his name. "Say that again," he said hoarsely. "Daddy." She smiled. "That's you." "Yeah." He pulled her into a hug. "That's me." Liv watched from a few feet away, wiping tears, other parents giving them curious looks that she ignored. This was her family. Unconventional, unexpected, absolutely perfect. That night, after Mia was asleep, Lorenzo and Liv lay tangled together on her couch, her head on his chest, his fingers tracing patterns on her arm. "I keep waiting for something to go wrong," she admitted. "For this to turn out to be too good to be true." "Nothing's going to go wrong." "How can you be sure?" "Because I won't let it." He tilted her chin up. "Liv, I've spent 6 years in darkness. You and Mia, you're my light. My reason to be better, to try harder. I would burn the world down before I let anything hurt you." "That's intense." "I'm an intense guy. I've noticed." She smiled, then grew serious. "I love you. I know I said it through Mia before, but I need you to hear it from me. I love you, Lorenzo Moretti. Completely. Terrifyingly. The kind of love that changes everything. I love you too." He kissed her softly. "The kind of love that saves everything." They stayed like that for hours, talking and not talking, building a quiet intimacy that was stronger than passion, the intimacy of truly knowing someone, of being known in return. When Lorenzo finally left, he still hadn't officially moved in, keeping to their agreement about safety. Liv locked the door behind him and leaned against it, smiling like an idiot. She checked on Mia, found her clutching Giuseppe with one hand. A photo of Lorenzo Liv had printed tucked under her pillow. "We're going to be okay," Liv whispered to her sleeping daughter. "For the first time in forever, we're going to be more than okay." She had no idea how wrong she was. She had no idea that everything was about to fall apart. It happened on a Thursday. Liv was working the lunch shift at Aurelio's, Lorenzo in meetings upstairs. Mia was at pre-K, safe with teachers who'd been background checked 6 ways from Sunday. Everything was normal. Routine. Until Lorenzo burst into the dining room, his face ashen. "We need to evacuate. Now." Lorenzo appeared on the stairs, phone pressed to his ear, his expression carved from ice. His eyes found Liv's across the room, and what she saw there made her blood run cold. What's happening? She asked as staff began ushering confused diners toward exits. Threat called in. Credible. Everyone out. His hand found her arm, gripped tight. You're coming with me. Mia. I have 3 men getting her right now. They'll bring her to the safe house. Safe house? Lorenzo, what? The explosion cut her off. Not here, somewhere close. The building shook, windows rattling, alarms shrieking to life. Someone screamed. Lorenzo pulled her against him, shielding her body with his as debris rained down from the ceiling. Move. Lorenzo shouted. Back exit now. They ran through the kitchen, down service corridors Liv had never seen, Lorenzo's hand locked around hers. Behind them, smoke and chaos. Ahead, an armored car waiting in the alley. Get in, Lorenzo ordered. Not without Mia. She's safe. I promise. But you need to get in the car now. Liv did, her heart hammering so hard she could barely breathe. Lorenzo slid in beside her, already on the phone. Status on the girl. Good. Take her to the Riverside location. Full detail, no one gets within 100 yards. I don't give a fuck what it costs, make it happen. He hung up, turned to Liv. Mia's fine. They got her out before anything happened. She's scared but unhurt. What the hell is happening? The Volkov Bratva. Russian mob. They've been pushing into my territory for months. I pushed back. This is them escalating. His jaw was granite. The bomb at Aurelio's was a message. They want war. Oh my God. Liv's hands were shaking. This is because of you. Because of what you do. Yes. The simple admission hung between them. Take me to Mia. Right now. Liv. Right. Now. The safe house was a fortress disguised as a suburban home, armed men at every entrance, surveillance that could probably see into next week. Mia was inside with one of Lorenzo's female guards, playing with toys someone had hastily assembled. When Liv walked in, her daughter's face crumpled. Mommy. Liv caught her, holding tight. I'm here, baby. I'm here. You're safe. There were loud noises at school and scary men came, but they said they work for Daddy and they brought me here and I didn't know where you were, the words tumbled out in a panicked rush. I know. I'm sorry you were scared. But you're safe now. Over Mia's head, Liv's eyes met Lorenzo's. The fury there was glacial. He stepped outside to make calls. Liv heard fragments through the door, find every Volkov asset in the city. I want locations within the hour. No mercy, no prisoners. When he came back in, his expression had shifted to something she'd never seen before, the man he became when violence was the only language spoken. I need to go, he said. Handle this before they escalate further. You're going to kill people. Yes. No apology. No softening. Just brutal honesty. Lorenzo. They came after my restaurant. Next time it'll be this house. Or your apartment. Or Mia's school. His voice was flat, emotionless, the voice of a man who'd made this calculation 1,000 times. I end this now, decisively, or they keep coming. Those are the only options. Liv felt something crack inside her chest. So this is what loving you means? Always waiting for the next attack? Never knowing if we're safe. I told you what I was. You told me you were dangerous. You didn't tell me I'd have to watch my daughter's school evacuated by armed men. Mia whimpered against her chest. Liv forced herself to lower her voice, but the fury remained. You should go. Do what you have to do. Liv. I said go. He stared at her for a long moment, something breaking behind his eyes. Then he nodded once and left. The hours that followed were torture. Liv stayed with Mia, reading stories, playing games, pretending everything was fine while armed men patrolled outside and news alerts on her phone showed footage of Aurelio's. Windows blown out, emergency vehicles everywhere. Lorenzo came by with updates. Boss is handling it. Should be resolved within 48 hours. Resolved meaning what? How many people die for his resolution? Lorenzo's expression was carefully neutral. As many as necessary. By midnight, Mia was finally asleep, exhausted from fear. Liv sat beside her bed, watching her breathe, feeling the weight of every choice that had led them here. She'd known what Lorenzo was. But knowing intellectually and experiencing viscerally were different things. Her phone buzzed. Lorenzo, it's done. Volkov leadership is dead. The threat is neutralized. Liv, how many? Lorenzo, does it matter? Liv, yes. A long pause. Lorenzo, 17. 17 people. 17 lives ended because they'd threatened his territory. Because they'd threatened her and Mia. She wanted to feel grateful. Should feel grateful. He'd protected them, eliminated the danger. Instead, she felt sick. Liv, I need time. To think. To process this. Lorenzo, Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere. But maybe she was. 2 days later, Lorenzo came to the safe house. Liv had moved them back to her apartment against his protests, unable to stand the confinement anymore. She doubled up on the security he'd installed, but she needed her own space to think. He stood in her living room looking exhausted, shadows under his eyes, tension in every line of his body. "We need to talk," she said. "I know." Mia was at a playdate with another child from pre-K, guards watching from a discreet distance. They were alone. "I can't do this," Liv said. The words felt like glass in her throat. "I can't raise my daughter in a world where bombs go off and men with guns evacuate her school and the man I love comes home with blood on his hands." "I washed," Lorenzo said quietly. "That's not the point." Her voice broke. "The point is you killed 17 people, Lorenzo. 17. And you did it for me. For us. And I'm supposed to what? Thank you? Accept that this is just how things are. I did it to keep you safe." "I know. And that's what makes it so awful." Tears streamed down her face. "Because part of me is grateful. Part of me is glad those men are dead, that they can't hurt Mia. And I hate that part of myself. I hate what loving you is turning me into." Lorenzo's face was pale. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I don't know if I can be with someone who solves problems with murder. I don't know if that's the example I want to set for my daughter." "Our daughter." His voice was rough. "Or did that stop mattering?" "Don't." She wrapped her arms around herself. "Don't make this about Mia. This is about me trying to be a good mother. About keeping her safe. I keep her safe. By killing people. By creating a world where she needs armed guards at playdates." Liv's voice rose. "That's not safety, Lorenzo. That's a prison disguised as protection. So what do you want me to do? Abandon everything? Walk away from my business, my responsibilities, the empire I've built?" "I don't know. Maybe. Yes." She met his eyes. "Because if the alternative is Mia growing up surrounded by violence, then yes, that's exactly what I want. You knew what I was." "I knew. But I didn't understand. There's a difference." She wiped her eyes. "And now I do understand, and I'm terrified. Not of you hurting us, but of this life destroying us slowly. Of Mia becoming desensitized to danger. Of me accepting things I swore I never would." Lorenzo stared at her, and she watched something die in his eyes. Hope maybe, or the fragile belief that he could have this, have them have happiness. "So that's it." His voice was hollow. "One threat, one necessary response, and you're done?" "It's not one threat. It'll be another, and another after that. This is your world, Lorenzo. It's who you are. And her voice broke completely. "I love you. God help me, I love you so much. But I have to choose Mia. I have to choose her safety, her normalcy, her childhood over what I feel for you. She loves me too." "I know." The words were agony. "And breaking her heart is going to destroy me. But better heartbroken than in danger." Silence stretched between them, heavy with everything they were losing. "I should go," Lorenzo said finally. "Yeah." He moved toward the door, then stopped. When he turned back, his eyes were wet. "I would have given you everything. Been anything you needed. Walked away from it all if you'd asked me to 6 months ago, before I knew what having you felt like." His voice cracked. "But now? I can't. Because walking away means leaving you unprotected. And I can't do that. Even if you hate me, even if you never want to see me again, I can't stop making sure you're safe. I don't hate you. No. You just can't love me enough to stay." He said it without malice, just exhausted sadness. "And I understand. I do. But it doesn't make it hurt less." He left. Liv stood frozen in her empty apartment, listening to his footsteps fade, feeling like she just amputated part of herself. That night, she had to tell Mia. Her daughter sat on her bed, Giuseppe clutched tight, sensing something was wrong. "Baby, I need to talk to you about Daddy." "Is he okay? Is he hurt?" "No, he's fine. But..." "How do you explain this? How do you break a 4-year-old's heart? He and I decided we need some space. So he won't be coming around as much." Mia's face crumpled. "Why?" "Because grown-ups are complicated, and sometimes people who love each other still can't be together. But he's my daddy." Tears spilled down Mia's cheeks. "He promised. He said he'd choose me every day." "He still loves you, sweetheart. That hasn't changed. Then why can't he be here?" Liv had no good answer. Just the truth, which was too adult and painful to share. "Sometimes love isn't enough," she said finally. "Sometimes we have to make hard choices to keep the people we love safe." "I don't understand." "I know, baby. I'm sorry." Mia cried herself to sleep that night. Liv held her the entire time, her own tears soaking into her daughter's hair, hating herself and the situation and the impossible choice she'd had to make. From the street below, She knew Lorenzo's men were watching, keeping them safe even as she'd pushed him away. She'd done the right thing. She knew she had. So why did it feel like she'd just destroyed the best thing that had ever happened to them? 3 days passed in gray numbness. Mia was withdrawn, quiet. She carried Giuseppe everywhere, slept with that photo of Lorenzo, asked every morning if today was the day he'd come back. Liv worked her shifts, smiled at customers, died a little more inside with each passing hour. Her phone stayed silent. No texts from Lorenzo. No calls. Nothing. She told herself this was good. Clean break. Best for everyone. She didn't believe it for a second. On the 4th day, a package arrived. Inside, a stuffed lion for Mia with a note in Lorenzo's handwriting. For my brave girl. I'm sorry I can't be there. But I'm always watching over you. Love, Daddy. And for Liv, a single letter. I respect your choice. I understand it, even as it destroys me. But I need you to know, my feelings haven't changed. Won't change. If you ever decide you can live with what I am, I'll be here. Waiting. For however long it takes. I love you. Both of you. That's not negotiable. D. Liv read it 17 times. Once for each person who died to keep them safe. Then she folded it carefully, tucked it in her drawer, and cried until there were no tears left. Have you ever had to choose between love and safety? Between your heart and your head? How did you know you made the right choice? Share your thoughts below. I need to hear I'm not alone in this. 3 months. That's how long Liv survived without him. 90 days of going through the motions. Work, Mia, sleep, repeat. Existing but not living, breathing but not feeling. The color had drained from her world the day Lorenzo walked out her door. Mia was worse. She'd stopped talking about him after the first month, but she still slept with that photo, still carried Giuseppe everywhere. Her teacher called concerned. Mia was withdrawn in class, didn't play with the other kids like before. She's grieving, the teacher said gently. Has there been a loss in the family? Yes, Liv answered. There has. The truth was more complicated than death. At least death had finality. This was limbo, knowing Lorenzo was out there, still loving them, still watching over them from a distance she demanded. She saw evidence of his protection everywhere. The man who tried to shortchange her at the grocery store had suddenly apologized and overpaid. The aggressive driver who'd cut her off in traffic got pulled over seconds later. Small things that could have been coincidence but weren't. He was everywhere and nowhere. Present in his absence. Lorenzo visited once, ostensibly to check on their security system. He's a mess, Lorenzo said bluntly. In case you were wondering. Liv hadn't asked. He's alive. That's what matters. Is it? Because he's shut down. Colder than he was even after Isabella died. At least then he had revenge to focus on. Now he has nothing. He has his empire. His business. He has ashes. He's going through the motions, making decisions, but there's no one home. Lorenzo fixed her with a hard stare. You broke him, Liv. Congratulations. That's not fair. Fair? You want to talk about fair? His voice rose. That man was dead inside for 6 years. Then he met you and Mia, and for the first time since his wife and kid were murdered, he had a reason to live. He let himself love again, let himself be vulnerable, which in our world is basically a death sentence, and you threw it back in his face. He killed 17 people. To protect you. Those men were going to keep coming. They would have bombed your apartment next, or Mia's school, or anywhere you felt safe. He eliminated the threat the only way he knew how. Lorenzo's expression softened slightly. Look, I'm not saying his world is pretty. It's not. It's violent and dangerous and morally complicated as hell. But he didn't choose you despite that world. He chose you because you made that world bearable. You were his light in the darkness. And what about Mia? What kind of example? The example of a man who'd burned the world down to keep her safe? Who loves her mother so completely he's willing to stay away because that's what she asked. Lorenzo shook his head. You think that's a bad example? I think that's the best example a kid could have. That's what real love looks like, sacrifice, even when it destroys you. After he left, Liv sat in silence, his words echoing. Was she protecting Mia? Or was she projecting her own fears, her own trauma from Derek's abandonment, onto a man who'd proven over and over he was nothing like Derek? She didn't know anymore. That night, Mia had a nightmare. Liv heard her crying and rushed in, finding her daughter tangled in blankets, tears streaming down her face. Baby, what is it? I dreamed Daddy was hurt and we weren't there to help him. Mia's voice hitched. He was all alone and sad and I couldn't reach him. Liv's heart cracked. It was just a dream, sweetheart. But what if it's real? What if he is hurt and alone? Mia's eyes were red, desperate. Mommy, I miss him. I miss him so much and I don't understand why he can't be here. You said he still loves us. If he loves us, why did he leave? He didn't leave, baby. I asked him to give us space. But why? Why would you do that? For the first time, there was accusation in her daughter's voice. He made you happy. He made us both happy. And you sent him away. I was trying to keep you safe. I was safe with him. I felt safe when he was here. Mia's voice rose, all the confusion and hurt of 3 months pouring out. Now I don't feel safe. I feel sad all the time. And you're sad all the time. And Daddy's probably sad too. So nobody's happy and nobody's safe, and I don't understand what the point is. Out of the mouths of babes. Liv pulled Mia into her arms, both of them crying now. You're right, she whispered. You're absolutely right. Can we call him? Please? I just want to hear his voice. Liv watched them, her own tears falling freely. This was what healing looked like, not forgetting the pain, but transforming it into something beautiful. Outside the courthouse, Lorenzo was waiting with a car, and a small crowd. Lorenzo's key people had gathered, his trusted lieutenants, the staff from Aurelio's, even Mrs. Chun from Liv's building. They'd all shown up to celebrate. Speech, someone called out. Lorenzo looked uncomfortable, this man who commanded rooms with a word suddenly awkward in the face of genuine affection. I don't do speeches, he muttered. Today you do, Liv whispered, squeezing his hand. These people love you. Let them celebrate. He took a breath, Mia still in his arms, and addressed the small crowd. 6 months ago, I was lost. I'd been lost for 6 years, actually. Then this little girl, he adjusted Mia on his hip, asked me why I looked sad. And her mother gave me a reason to stop being sad. They saved me in every way a person can be saved. His voice roughened with emotion. Today, I get to be her father. Officially, legally, permanently. And that's, he paused, struggling. That's the greatest honor of my life. Greater than anything I've built, anything I've accomplished. Being her daddy, being part of this family, that's everything. The crowd erupted in applause. Mia beamed, waving like royalty. Does this mean cake? She asked loudly. This definitely means cake, Lorenzo confirmed. Then this is the best day ever. The celebration moved to Aurelio's, closed for a private party. Lorenzo had arranged everything, ridiculous amounts of food, a cake shaped like a princess castle, Mia's request, decorations that turned the elegant restaurant into something that could have been ripped from a fairy tale. You went overboard, Liv said, watching Mia run between tables with other children, Lorenzo's nieces and nephews, kids of Lorenzo's staff. I'm allowed. My daughter only becomes officially mine once. He pulled her close. Besides, you like it. I can tell. I do. She rested her head on his shoulder. I love watching her this happy. Watching you this happy. I've been meaning to ask you something. Something in his tone made her pull back. What? He reached into his pocket, and Liv's heart stopped. Lorenzo. Let me say this before I lose my nerve. He opened the small velvet box, revealing a ring, elegant, simple, a single diamond that caught the light. I know we've done things backwards. Daughter first, relationship second, breakup third, reconciliation fourth. But I want to do this one right. He got down on one knee, and the restaurant fell silent. Olivia Bennett, you are the strongest, most infuriating, most extraordinary woman I've ever met. You saw the worst of me and chose to love me anyway. You gave me a daughter when I thought I'd never be a father again. You gave me a reason to be better than what I was. His voice cracked slightly. I want to spend the rest of my life proving I deserve you. I want to wake up next to you for the next 50 years. I want to fight with you and make up with you and build something beautiful with you. He smiled. I want to be officially, legally, permanently yours. Will you marry me? Liv was crying again, happy tears this time, the kind that came from joy too big to contain. Yes, she whispered. God, yes. The restaurant erupted. Lorenzo stood, sliding the ring onto her finger, then kissed her like they were the only two people in the world. When they broke apart, Mia was standing beside them, hands on her hips. Does this mean you're getting married? Yes, sweetheart, Liv said. Finally. I've been waiting forever. She threw her arms around both their legs. Now we're really, really a family. We were always really a family, Lorenzo said, scooping her up. This just makes it extra official. I like extra official. Me too, baby. Me too. Later that night, after Mia was asleep and the celebration had wound down, Lorenzo and Liv stood on the balcony of his penthouse. Their penthouse now, since she and Mia had officially moved in 2 months ago. The city sprawled below them, lights twinkling like earthbound stars. Are you happy? Lorenzo asked, arms wrapped around her from behind. Terrifyingly happy. She leaned back against him. I keep waiting for something to go wrong. Nothing's going to go wrong. You can't promise that. No, he agreed. But I can promise I'll face whatever comes with you. That we'll handle it together. Liv turned in his arms. Your world is still dangerous. That hasn't changed. No. But we have. He cupped her face gently. We're stronger now. We know what we're fighting for. And we trust each other enough to be honest when things get hard. Even if I get scared again. Especially then. Being scared is smart. Running away is what almost cost us everything. He kissed her forehead. We don't run anymore. We fight. Together. Together, she echoed. They stood there for a long time, wrapped in each other, looking at the future that stretched ahead, uncertain, complicated, probably terrifying at times. But theirs. Definitely theirs. 3 months later, they got married. Not a big wedding, Liv didn't want the spectacle, and Lorenzo respected that. Just close friends and family, an intimate ceremony in the garden of a vineyard an hour outside the city. Mia was the flower girl, taking her responsibilities extremely seriously. She wore a white dress with a pink sash and carried a basket of rose petals that she distributed with the precision of a general deploying troops. Not too many in one spot, she instructed guests. We need to make them last. Lorenzo wore a dark suit, standing at the altar looking nervous in a way Liv had never seen before. When she appeared at the end of the aisle, simple white dress, no veil, wildflowers in her hair, his expression transformed into something that made her knees weak. Pure love. Pure awe. They'd written their own vows. Liv went first, her voice surprisingly steady. Lorenzo, when I met you, I was surviving, not living. You taught me the difference. You showed me that being strong doesn't mean doing everything alone, it means letting the right person stand beside you. You've given me safety, love, and a family I didn't dare dream of. I promise to trust you, even when I'm scared. To fight with you, not against you. To love you in the darkness and the light. For all the days of my life. Lorenzo's turn. He took a shaky breath. Liv, you saved me. I was dead inside, just going through motions, until you and Mia reminded me what living actually meant. You gave me a reason to be better. A reason to hope. You saw the worst of me and loved me anyway, not despite what I am, but because of who I choose to be when I'm with you. His voice roughened. I promise to protect you and Mia with everything I am. To be the husband you deserve and the father she needs. To choose you every single day, even when it's hard. Especially when it's hard. I love you more than I thought it was possible to love anyone. You are my light, my home, my everything. There wasn't a dry eye in the garden. When the officiant pronounced them married, Lorenzo kissed her like he'd been waiting his whole life for this moment. Which, in a way, he had. Mia cheered loudly. They're officially married now. Extra, extra official. The reception was perfect. Good food, better wine, dancing under string lights as the sun set. Lorenzo danced with Mia first, letting her stand on his feet while he waltzed her around, both of them laughing. Then with Liv, holding her close while a jazz singer crooned about love and second chances. Thank you, he whispered in her ear. For what? For taking a chance on a dangerous man. For giving me a family. For loving me when I didn't deserve it. You deserve it. You always did. You just needed someone to show you. And you needed someone to show you that accepting help isn't weakness. She smiled against his shoulder. Look at us. 2 broken people who somehow made each other whole. Not whole, he corrected gently. Still broken in places. But broken together. And that's enough. That's everything. 2 years later. Mia was 6 now, in 1st grade, reading at a 3rd grade level and asking questions that made Liv's brain hurt. Mommy, if infinity goes on forever, can there be a bigger infinity? Ask your father. He said to ask you. Parenthood was a lot of passing the buck on impossible questions. They lived in a new house, still in the city, but bigger, safer, with a yard where Mia could play. Lorenzo had gradually shifted more of his business toward legitimate enterprises, though Liv wasn't naive enough to think he'd completely abandoned his old life. But he kept that world separate. Protected them from it. And when threats did emerge, and they had a few times, he handled them quietly, efficiently, with minimal violence. He was trying. That's what mattered. Liv had gone back to school, finally finishing her degree in early childhood education. She now worked at Mia's school 3 days a week, teaching pre-K. The other days, she helped manage Aurelio's, which had expanded into a small chain. They'd built something together. Not perfect, but real. Tonight was date night, their weekly tradition. Lorenzo was watching Mia, who considered him her favorite uncle and played him like a fiddle. Lorenzo and Liv sat at a small Italian restaurant, not Aurelio's, somewhere they could just be a married couple enjoying dinner. I have news, Liv said, after they'd ordered. Good news or bad news? Depends on your perspective. She took his hand. I'm pregnant. Lorenzo froze, his wine glass halfway to his lips. You're what? Pregnant. About 8 weeks. I took 3 tests to be sure. He set down the glass carefully, like he was afraid he might drop it. His eyes were wide, stunned. A baby. A baby. We're having a baby. We are. For a long moment, he just stared at her. Then his eyes filled with tears. I didn't think I'd get this again, he whispered. After Marco. I thought that chance was gone forever. It's not gone. It's here. We're here. She squeezed his hand. Are you happy? Happy doesn't begin to cover it. He laughed, the sound choked with emotion. I'm terrified and thrilled and grateful, and he stood abruptly, moved to her side of the table, and kissed her like she was air and he was drowning. When he pulled back, both of them were crying. Mia's going to be over the moon, Liv said. She's been asking for a sibling for months. I know. She's very persistent. Wonder where she gets that from. They stayed at the restaurant for hours, planning and dreaming and marveling at how far they'd come. From a single glance in a restaurant to this, marriage, family, a baby on the way. It seemed impossible. It felt like grace. 3 years after that. Mia was 9, her little brother Marco was 2, and life was beautifully chaotic. They'd named him after Lorenzo's first son, a tribute and a healing both. Mia adored him, playing the role of protective big sister with the same fierce love her mother had modeled. Tonight, the whole family was at Aurelio's for a celebration. The restaurant had just received its first Michelin star, a milestone that felt significant even if Lorenzo claimed he didn't care about fancy ratings. I absolutely care, he admitted to Liv privately. I care a ridiculous amount. Marco was asleep in his carrier, oblivious to the champagne and congratulations. Mia held court at a nearby table, explaining to Lorenzo's nieces exactly why her daddy's restaurant was the best in the city. Because he puts love in the food, she said seriously. That's the secret ingredient. Lorenzo overheard and caught Liv's eye across the room. She smiled and he smiled back, the kind of smile that had become frequent over the years, the kind that spoke of contentment and gratitude and love so deep it was foundational. Later, after everyone had left and the restaurant was quiet, the four of them sat in Lorenzo's private room, the same room where he'd once conducted brutal business, now transformed into a family space. Mia was coloring. Marco was attempting to eat his shoe. Lorenzo and Liv watched them, hands intertwined. Do you remember the first time I saw you? Lorenzo asked softly. You and Mia, having dinner here. You ordered pasta and shared dessert and looked at her like she was the entire universe. I remember you staring. I couldn't help it. You were. He searched for the right word. Light. In a world I'd made deliberately dark. And I thought, who's that woman? Like you were a mystery I needed to solve. Did you? Solve me? No. But I got to love you instead. Which is better? Liv leaned her head on his shoulder. I'm glad you asked that question. Who's that woman? I'm glad you couldn't look away. Best decision I never consciously made. Daddy. Mia looked up from her coloring. Can I ask you something? Always. Do you ever wish things were different? Like that you'd met Mommy sooner, or that Marco was born earlier, or that life wasn't so complicated sometimes? Lorenzo considered the question seriously. Mia deserved real answers, not platitudes. No, he said finally. Because every choice, every mistake, every hard thing that happened, it all led here. To you, to Mommy, to Marco. To this family. And I wouldn't change a single thing if it meant risking this. Even the sad parts. Especially the sad parts. They taught me how to appreciate the happy ones. Mia nodded, satisfied. That's what I thought. Because the sad parts make the good parts extra special. Exactly. She went back to coloring. Marco finally succeeded in getting his shoe into his mouth. Liv rescued him, laughing. And Lorenzo sat there, surrounded by his family, in the restaurant he'd built, in the life he'd never dreamed he deserved, and felt peace. Not the absence of danger. His world would always have edges, shadows, things he had to manage and protect against. But peace in the knowledge that he had people worth fighting for. Worth protecting. Worth being better for. I love you, he said to Liv. I love you too. I know I say it a lot, but you can never say it too much. She kissed him softly. I'll never get tired of hearing it. Mia made a gagging sound. You guys are so mushy. Wait until you're older, Liv warned. You'll be mushy too. Never. I'm going to be cool and independent and have adventures. You can have adventures and still be mushy, Lorenzo said. They're not mutually exclusive. What's mutually exclusive mean? Ask your mother. Nice try, Liv muttered. They stayed there until late, this family that shouldn't have existed but did, built on second chances and impossible choices and love that refused to give up. Eventually, they packed up sleepy children and headed home, Lorenzo carrying Marco while Mia held Liv's hand, chattering about her day. At the door, Lorenzo paused, looking back at the restaurant, his first kingdom, the place where everything had started. What is it? Liv asked. Just remembering. That night, when I asked Lorenzo who you were. If someone had told me then that 5 years later we'd be married with 2 kids and a Michelin star, I would have thought they were insane. And now? Now I think I'm the luckiest man alive. Not luck, Liv corrected, standing on her toes to kiss him. Choice. We chose this. We chose each other. Every single day. Best choice I ever made. Second best, she teased. First was getting down on one knee in front of everyone at Aurelio's. Third best, actually. First was answering when you called that night, 3 months after we'd broken up. Second was asking Mia if I could be her daddy. Third was the proposal. You've really thought about this. I've had time. 5 years of choosing you. Turns out, it never gets old. They went inside, home, family, life, and closed the door on the night. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. There would be hard days ahead, moments of doubt, times when the weight of Lorenzo's world pressed heavy on them all. But they'd face it together. Just like they'd promised. Just like they'd always do. Years later, when Mia was grown with children of her own, she'd tell them the story of how her parents met. Grandpa saw Grandma in his restaurant and asked, "Who's that woman?" And the rest is history. That's it, her kids would ask. That's the whole story. No, Mia would say, smiling. That's just the beginning. The real story is everything that came after, how they chose each other, even when it was hard. How they built a family from broken pieces. How love saved them both. Is it a happy ending? Better, Mia would say. It's a happy continuation. Because the best love stories don't end, they just keep going. And in that continuation, in that choice renewed day after day after day, was where the Real magic lived. Where it would always live. Forever. What about you? Do you believe in second chances? In choosing love even when it's complicated and scary? Share your thoughts below, because every love story deserves to be told, including yours.
Thank you for watching this story to the end. If you enjoyed this story, you will surely love the next one. It's as interesting and even more intriguing as can ever imagine. So do check it out. Click on the image showing on your screen right now to watch the next one.